From draining buckets and grabbing boards to being the future of the Warriors, this is how Patrick Baldwin Jr. compares to Moses Moody. First up, I'm going to compare their scoring numbers. PB&J's in his rookie year right now, and he's only played 21 games so far, though he's still been pretty good when he's been out on the floor. In fact, Patrick averages just 8.8 minutes a game, yet he still puts up 5.2 points per contest. So I'd say he's making the most of every second he gets to play for the Dubs. I mean, Baldwin literally went out there and dropped 17 in just 23 minutes against the Nets back in December. As for his time in the G League, Patrick played 8 regular season games for the Santa Cruz Warriors, and he got around 25 minutes of playing time. During this stretch, he put up 15.1 points, so he clearly has a lot of potential. Now, for Moody, he's been in the league since last season, so he has more games under his belt. But his scoring numbers in the NBA aren't as good as Baldwin Jr.'s. Moses has played in 101 games, and he gets 12.6 minutes of playing time per contest. Despite him playing more minutes, he only averages 4.5 points for his career. But at the same time, I've got to give him credit for his career-high 30 points. Also, when it comes to the G League, Moody's numbers are way better than PB&J's. Then the shooting guard put up an impressive 28.8 points per contest in 6 regular season games while averaging 34.8 minutes a contest. Now, while they both can score when given the chance, I'm giving the advantage to Moses. Next up, who's more efficient? It's a known fact that if you want to make a name for yourself within the Warriors system, then you've got to have some amazing efficiency. And luckily for Patrick, he has some pretty good shooting splits overall. The athlete converts on nearly 2 of his 4.2 field goal attempts, which is good for 43.2%. But what's really stood out about him so far is his efficiency from beyond the arc. PB&J averages 1.4 makes from deep on 3.2 tries, giving him an excellent 3-point percentage of 43.3. Though he does need to work on his free throw shooting because he only makes 66.7% of them. As for his efficiency in the G League regular season, he cashed in on 42.2% of his field goals while he shot nearly 36% from downtown. Also, he does have it in him to hit shots at the charity stripe as he's been pretty efficient from there in the G League. Much like PB&J, Moody has some respectable shooting splits as he makes 43.6% of his field goals, and he can knock down timely threes as the athlete cashes in on 35% of his trays. Moses can also be pretty reliable from the free throw line with a percentage of 75. What's more, his shooting splits in the G League regular season rest at a phenomenal 47, 40, and 77. They're both pretty efficient for rookies, but I'm giving the nod to PB&J because of his fantastic efficiency from deep in the NBA. Moving on, who's the better rebounder? While PB&J is pretty tall at 6'9", Moody's also pretty big for a guard as he's listed at 6'5". So both men have the size and length to crash the boards. Since Patrick plays limited minutes in the NBA, he only averages 1.6 rebounds with a career high of 5. But I'm certain that the more he plays, the higher that number will go, especially because he's been a solid rebounder in the G League as he grabs over 5 when he plays for Santa Cruz. Now, for Moses, he also averages 1.6 boards per game in the NBA, but he has a career high of 8 rebounds. And on top of that, he's putting up 6.5 rebounds per contest when playing in the G League's regular season. So, despite Baldwin Jr. having the height advantage, Moses is a much better rebounder overall. Following that, let me talk about who's better at setting up their teammates. Again, given his lack of playing time and the fact that playmaking isn't his primary responsibility, Patrick's assist numbers in the league aren't great. He only dishes 0.3 dimes per game, but turns the ball over 0.4 times a night. That's not ideal, to say the least. Unfortunately, his assist numbers in the G League aren't any better, as he only puts up 1.8 regular season games. Plus, he turned the ball over 2.4 times, making for a terrible assist to turnover ratio. Moody's assist totals are also pretty underwhelming, as he puts up 0.6 per game in the NBA. But at least that's more than the number of turnovers he averages, though that isn't the case in the G League. In fact, Moses only dishes 1.7 dimes for Santa Cruz during the regular season while turning the ball over 2.5 times. PB&J might get away with being a bad passer, but Moody can't because he's a guard. Either way, I don't think either of them can be given the advantage here, so I'm calling it a tie. Coming up, who's the better defender? With his size and wingspan, Patrick has the potential to be a terrific defender once he finally gets more chances. But for now, he only averages 0.3 steals and 0.1 blocks per contest, while he has a career high of 3 steals and 1 rejection. As for his defensive rating, it's not too great, but it's not too bad either, as it rests at 113.3. Though, it's no secret that his opponents find it easy to score on him because they do so 56.7% of the time that he contests a shot. Moving on to his stats in the G League, regular season, he puts up 0.3 steals and 0.6 blocks, which aren't the best. Now, for Moses, he barely pickpockets his opponents, nor does he swat their shots. In fact, he only averages 0.2 steals and 0.1 blocks for his career. He does have a career high of 2 steals and 3 rejections. All in all, he isn't the most reliable guy on D, especially when you take into account his defensive rating of 116.9 this year. Though Moody's defensive field goal percentage this season at 46, so he has the edge over Baldwin in that department. When it comes to the G League, Moses' defense is far better as he averages 1.3 steals and 0.7 blocks. Again, it's pretty even overall, so I'll have to call it a tie once again. Up next, who has better stats per 36 minutes? Now, since both men don't get much playing time in the NBA, it's super important for me to talk about these stats. Of course, this isn't the perfect measure, but it gives an indication of how well players with limited minutes would like to play if they were getting the same amount of playing time as starters. So if you take PB&J's current stats and adjust them to him playing 36 minutes a night, he'd be averaging an impressive stat line of 21.3 points, 6.5 rebounds, 1.2 assists, and 1.2 steals. Plus, he'd be drilling 5.7 threes at shooting percentages of 43.3. Those are literal Steph Curry numbers. Moving on to Moses, his stats per 36 minutes don't look as impressive. They're currently resting at 13 points, 4.5 boards, 1.8 dimes, and 0.7 steals. Those numbers aren't bad, but Baldwin Jr.'s are clearly way better. So he gets the advantage here. Moving on, let me take a deep dive into their advanced stats. One of the best advanced stats is the player efficiency rating. As of now, PB&J's rating is at 13.8, which isn't too shabby for a player who barely gets to play. Though his value over replacement player ratings understandably low at 0.1, but the 20-year-old does have a good box plus minus of 0.4. What stands out the most though is the fact that he has a true shooting percentage of 60.1, while his effective field goal percentage is at 59.7. Moses Moody, on the other hand, has a player efficiency rating of just 9.8 for his career. Plus, his value over replacement players' ratings at minus 0.3. On top of that, his box plus minus rests at a minus 2.9. Those numbers aren't ideal, to say the least. Not to mention his effective field goal percentage of 54.4 and true shooting percentage of 57.1 are both lower than PB&J's. So the clear winner here is Patrick. Finally, who's going to be more valuable to the Warriors in the long run? Well, time will tell, but there's no denying that both athletes have a ton of upside. Baldwin has the potential to become a deadly small forward, while Moody can be the next 2 guard for the Warriors when Clay's time as a Warrior is up. But I personally feel like PB&J is going to be more valuable once the Warriors dynasty headed by Steph, Clay, and Dre comes to an end. His size, build, and skill set make him a fantastic prospect. And if Baldwin can keep getting better, he can be their starting small forward if Maple Jordan ever leaves the Bay Area. So overall, Patrick takes home the W with this comparison. That's it for this video.